Got it. All right, good afternoon. The time is now 3:31. I call to order the meeting of the Human Services Committee. A copy of the agenda for this meeting may be found on the county website under the tab for the legislature. Please silence your phones and electronic devices, and at this time, I ask you to please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so could you do roll call, please? Absolutely. Emo, Ellers,
Yes.
Feller, Ravella,
Here.
Sutherland, here, Tortel, here, Chewy, Ramos, here. 5 present, 3 absent. All right, thank you. So our only agenda item for today is Lacey Trimble, Commissioner of Social Services and Mental Health, with our monthly report. Good afternoon. Can I get a motion to discuss the report? So moved. The floor is yours.
Okay, so we'll start with the report and then I'll do an update on SNAP when we get to the SNAP page, just to give you guys some information. Temporary assistance was provided to 1,533 cases in August, 1,574 cases in September. Small decrease in family assistance and an increase in safety net, really staying pretty stable. 33 recipients entered employment in August, 21 in September. Year-to-date total is 279. You can see by the average that it is still trending higher than previous years. And I just want to mention that our employment and training is working really hard with our SNAP unit to help SNAP recipients make sure that they're aware of the changes to meet requirements under HR 1. So the able-bodied adults without dependents, because the rules change. So they're working really closely together on that. Page 3 is SNAP. 18,549 cases received SNAP benefits in August. 18,492 received benefits in September. The number of cases has decreased month over month and is down 240 compared to the same time last year. What I just mentioned with the able-bodied adults without dependence waiver, there's some confusion around the timeline of that still. It was originally, the waiver in New York State was set to expire in February, and then that waiver was rescinded. We were told November 1st would be the expiration. We had since been verbally told that the waiver is back in place due to a court case, but we don't have the documentation yet formally from OTDA on that. So we're continuing to prepare so that people know what requirements they have to meet in order to maintain their benefits because of the changes. For example, adults over the age of 55 had a waiver, didn't have to work. That moves to 64. So a population who may be retired on a fixed income may not know about this unless we let them know. So we are working on that with employment training, really trying to make sure people know the changes, are prepared for the changes, and know how to meet their basic needs.
Lacey, question, what about folks who are not engaged with employment training?
We have permission as of today from OTDA to bring them in for employment interviews virtually to let them know what the changes are. We don't have to get everybody in the office in person all at once. We have to notify everyone, and that's what we're working on, is making sure they're aware. We're waiting on a communication from OTDA about what the status currently is, because we haven't received the formal written communication that the waiver is still in place till February. We're acting as if it's not, to prepare everyone. This isn't a countable month for meeting the requirements. They have until next month if the waiver is rescinded. Otherwise, they have till March because it will be in place for the end of February. So it's a challenge because it's a moving target at this point.
Legislator Tata.
Thank you. On the age requirement and the work requirement, it was 13 or something like that. There was a question that I put forth to our federal legislators and also to the state regarding didn't seem like there was a waiver for anybody who had a developmentally disabled child. Has that changed in any way, shape, or form at this point?
The caregiver exemptions. So it's based on age at this point. There are exemptions for disability. Those are not ones that have moved forward yet, that I don't believe. I can double check for you, but it is, they are different the exemptions. So you have to prove it documentation wise in a different way than you used to. The other ones that I'm concerned about going away is youth aging out of foster care. Used to have until their 24th birthday. They had a waiver for SNAP assistance. And veterans and homeless individuals had a waiver. That also goes away under HR 1. So populations that we just have to make sure that are not falling through the cracks at this time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I did also want to mention that, as we all know, there was a lot of chaos around SNAP the last month. SNAP benefits have been received. Everybody's cards were reloaded by the state while the federal lawsuits played out. My understanding is that the federal government will be making New York whole for what they paid out of New York tax dollars in the interim while this is all happening. And the continuing resolution, even though this one only goes through January, SNAP benefits are funded through September of next year. So if there is another shutdown in January, we won't be, seeing the same upheaval in the SNAP program that you saw this time. HEAP is another story. We have not received funds for HEAP yet. OTDA is currently planning for HEAP to open on the 24th, which is later than previous years. I'm sure many saw that the governor has requested that the federal government release HEAP funding. It has not, as of now, been released. We are seeing a significant increase in the number of applications that we're processing to assist people through our temporary assistance programs. So we are still able to assist the vast majority of people. It is a longer application process. Luckily, because HEAP is lower numbers because they're not fully open yet, we're only doing early outreach, which is still 450 to 500 applications a week. They're assisting with the temporary assistance applications, walking people through the process, and making sure that if somebody has an emergency furnace repair or they need emergency fuel or utility payments, that can go through temporary assistance. So it's still being covered for the vast majority of people. I will notify everyone once we have an update, but unfortunately still not open, and it will take a couple of weeks once it is open for payments to be processed and sent to the vendors. Emergency housing, August and September, there was an average of the same of 18.3 families in emergency housing shelter. And we had 46 singles in August and 47.5 singles in September on average. These numbers remain constant because they really are based on the number of beds we have in those locations. And they are filled all of the time for the most part. Next page is hotel motel. We had 134 families, 173 singles in August and September. Respectively, September we had 137 families and 201 singles in hotel motels, an increase for both. 12 individuals were served by our housing resource center that moved into permanent housing in each of the months. The average year to date is 17.3 individuals a month. So we are trending higher on individuals moving from temporary housing into permanent housing. Project Life remained about the same, 14.8 and 14.4 families, respectively for each month. And we had 857 individuals who were experiencing homelessness who received services in August, 887 in September. Our average for 2025 is 838. We do have active working groups going on right now with our warming centers. We're really trying to actively engage people who are using the warming centers and get them into either temporary or permanent housing options. So the SOS team that Honor is operating is going to each of the warming centers on a rotating basis as they're opened to try to engage people. They're also working with the soup kitchens for the same purpose. The next page, Medicaid, the number of locally managed Medicaid cases continues to slowly decline. It's a 1.84% decrease over last year overall. That is expected with the unwind from the COVID waivers. Total number of recipients for those cases is also a slow decline with a 1.3% decrease since last year. Managed care numbers have increased slightly month over month, but they are still down compared to last year by 316. The next page is the one really large table. That's the number of individuals in Orange County who receive Medicaid benefits in a given month. Since last report, we did receive updated data for October through February. As I mentioned in previous meetings, The data comes in very slowly from the state for their portion of this, but the amount spent does remain constant because it's really just about the total number of people on Medicaid benefits in the month, but the spending has already been accounted for. Page 8 is our raise the age statistics. August was a low month with 6 arrests. September, it did jump to 14, but that really is kind of where we've been recently, is around that 14 mark. So really not a surprise in the data there. Child Protective Services, 198 reports of child abuse or neglect investigated in August, 270 in September. An increase we anticipate because kids go back to school. So we always see that if you look back previous years, you see those same jumps in September. Foster care was provided, have provided out-of-home placement to 138 children in August and 141 in September. Our year-to-date is 150, which is 51 less children on average per month than last year. And I also want to mention that this week is, is adoption, National Adoption Day is this week. It's on Friday. There is a ceremony in the family court Friday at 2. A lot of our DSS staff are participating in that and celebrating successful adoptions and the children having a forever home. So it's always a really nice event. Next is our Adult Protective Services. The still stable number, our average for year is 254, for the year is 254.8. It's slightly lower on average than last year. And home care, slight decrease in August and September, but the average number of cases per month is still trending slightly higher than we were last year. Child support units served 9,300 cases in each month. They, in September, or over 7.2 million was collected and dispersed in August and September. The year-to-date total is 31.8 million collected and dispersed from that unit. Special investigations investigated 178 feds and EBR cases in August and 129 at September. These are again with the goal of preventing fraud and abuse. The year-to-date total cost avoidance is 6.9 million. 85 investigations were completed in August and 93 in September, with 62 and 83 found to be substantiated respectively. And year-to-date savings on those cases is 32,000. Our staff is doing a really great job of investigating and getting caught up on those back ends that we talked about in the last committee meeting.
Lucy, going back to HEAP for a moment, so if the federal funds are not released, what position does that put us in? And would we have the ability to meet the need through temporary assistance?
We are definitely able to meet at least the majority of the need for temporary assistance. OTDA is telling us that it's actually a more generous benefit for temporary assistance. It's a larger process for people to go through to get it. The state is also investigating if these funds are not allocated, do they have funds that they can put into the HEAP program that they can reallocate from other sources? I'm hoping that on Thursday, when we have our statewide meeting, that I'll get a little more information on where they are right now. But as of last week, they had ideas, but hadn't had a formal plan that they were ready to share with us.
Okay. Could you please just keep us close? Thank you. Yes, majority leader.
Still with heat. So it's Home Energy Assistance Program. How many people might you suspect use it as a majority system for their heating? Because again, I worry about people also in the summer. If you have oil heat in your home, you probably have hot water with oil as well, which you're going to be needing year round in spring and summer and fall also to, obviously have cooking water and bathing water and such like that.
So I don't know that we know that. It's meant as a supplemental program. This year, even when opened, it will be a smaller benefit than previous years. So I think there was more flexibility in funding with additional ARPA funds that were available the last couple of years. So people could have 2, I believe, regular benefits and an emergency benefit a season, which is going to bring them through a lot of the season. This year, it's one regular benefit and one emergency benefit per person, so it is a smaller amount total.
Yeah.
Which
And
is a
you'd be
change.
spending less in the spring and summer as well, but
Mhm.
still, there might be a gap there for some people.
Yes, and that's why we're encouraging people, if they need the service, to come through temporary assistance, because I would prefer we find a way to help people through temporary assistance to meet that heating need, rather than have to place people in a hotel or in a shelter because they don't have heat to keep them warm. So we're really trying to process those as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.